Hey Bake Off fans, it's Jack here, bakewithjack.co.uk, letting you know what I made of the Bake Off this week. And this week, I never even thought I was going to get this video out. I literally just caught up on Sunday night. My son has been unwell, and thank you so much for all your messages. He is well on the mend. He is sleeping right now. Fingers crossed I can make this quick video before the Bake Off is back on tonight. Can you believe it? So week number 4, it was caramel week, and I love this stuff. Seriously, this week brought me a little bit closer to Mr. Paul Hollywood, because it seems we share the same passion, which is a massive sweet tooth and copious amounts of sugar. He was all over it this week. He loved it. Good boy, Mr. Paul Hollywood. So the first stage was the signature bake, and it was 18 identical Millionaire Shortbreads. There was 2 possible ways of going about this. One of them was to do a big massive one and cut it up, and the other one was to do 18 individuals in some sort of mould. Some of them done it in a ring, and a muffin tin, in a little silicone rectangle creating jobby. I've seen a heart-shaped one, that was quite cool as well. But hey, I probably would have done individual as well, because you get a little bit of a better shape that way, although it requires a bit more extra work in terms of layering. I'm going to keep this week's video short, which I think you'll enjoy, because last week, I don't know if you remember last week, it was bread week, and I had a little bit of a rant. I just couldn't help myself. It went on for far too long, so I'm going to keep it short this week, and I just read off my notes to myself on round 1, and it made me chuckle a little bit, so I'm going to read them to you exactly as I read them to myself. Here are the key points from the judging for each baker. Ready? Okay, so first thing, Jan. Texture all wrong, cried, sad. Julia, did well, too much salt. James, I didn't write anything next to James, and we'll touch on that later anyway. Tom, split, fail. Stephen, looked very nice, Paul didn't like it. Sophie, looked hideous, still in acetate collar. Stacey, didn't like. There are 2 people that I've got positive things next to it. One is Liam. Liam shone in this round. Seriously made these like little rectangular peanut butter Tetris Millionaire Shortbread, which was wicked, because that's a little bit old school, and I love old school. The Tetris thing was awesome, and the rectangular shape of it came out really nice, and I think that's down to the peanut butter. But peanut butter through the caramel, and he mentioned, actually helps it to set up a little bit better. And Paul dived into that one. Did you see? He dived right in, because the caramel was so thick, and I remember seeing every little blurry shot of those on a picture coming into focus and thinking, wow, they look so delicious. Second positive comment I've got is next to Kate the blacksmith. She'd done a salted caramel one and put bay leaves into the caramel. I think she put bay leaves into the caramel, and she put walnuts through the shortbread, and they went down really, really well. I remember Prue and Paul tasted it and were like, wow, these are delicious. Some sort of aroma coming from it, and it came from the bay, which is awesome, because bay is a little bit old school too. I feel like it was old hat, a little bit old fashioned, and now it's old school, which means it's coming back around, and it's real nice fragrance. I love bay and all sorts of bits and bobs, and I'm pleased that Kate made a show of the bay leaf and is bringing it back into the present time. Hey, so the second round, as always, is the technical round, and I remember after week number 1, I was telling people, hey, the Bake Off is back, and there's new people on it, and it's on Channel 4, and there's advert breaks, but you know what? Didn't notice any of that stuff. It was great. I well enjoyed it. And then somebody said to me, hey, Jack, didn't they miss out that little historical bit where Mel and Sue would go off to some Victorian castle and talk about some old school thing that used to be baked thousands of years ago? Don't quote my history knowledge. And I said, oh yeah, that's a good point. They don't do that anymore. And then it made a return this week with Noel Fielding popped off somewhere to find out all about the lovely Stroopwafel, which I thought, what is a Stroopwafel? And then when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, it's one of those things. So this was a proper rags to riches story about someone who's knocked something up out of a bit of a leftover, and then it's become like this Dutch Stroopwafel icon, which I love stories like that. And when you start looking at things like baked things and whatnot, you start realising, hey, a donut is probably some bun that someone's just chucked into a deep fryer and popped some jam inside, and it was delicious one time. You see what I mean? This is like the origins of this stuff, which really excites me. So I well enjoyed that backstory, but unfortunately nobody got the caramel right on this one. They all came out grainy, and I'm just going to whiz off the spoilers. This is your spoiler alert, by the way. If you don't want to enjoy any spoilers, please turn off now. Spoilers are: last place, the lovely Julia, star baker from last week, came last place in the technical challenge, which was a shame. Third place, Liam, keeping the standards high after round one. Nice one, Liam. And number two, James, came number two. We haven't seen a lot of James. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of James. And maybe there's a reason behind that. Well, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. And first place, Stacey, the lovely Stacey, came first place. The best of a bad bunch, but the best nonetheless. Hey, so round number three, the showstopper round. And this was meant to be some epic caramel cake with some spun sugar. Had to have spun sugar on it, had to have 3 layers. And I feel like the conditions in the tent weren't quite right for that spun sugar, because you notice all the most delicate bits, all the people who did nests, I think it was Liam and Sophie and Tom, did this real delicate nests and looked wonderful when they'd done it. Spun it on the thing, took it out, make it into a nice, lovely nest. Really delicate is the problem. I think the humidity attacked it, and by the time they were judging it, they all melted and looked awful. Which was a real shame. So I'm going to just briefly give the highlights of this round. A lot of them were very lovely. There was a lot of sugar on a lot of them. Sophie from Surrey went for the Italian meringue buttercream, which everyone loved, second time around, which was lovely. Hungry Caterpillar, drip cake, etc. Kate made a apple and toffee bonfire cake. And she made all these different coloured caramels to make it really look smashing. And Paul Hollywood went back and back and back to eat a little bit more, which is always a good sign. Am I right? So hey, I know this video's been a little bit quick, but I'm worried that my son's going to wake up and it's going to be game over. So I'm going to go ahead with the massive spoilers, which is right at the end. Star Baker this week. I had my eyes pinned on Liam, I must admit, and what I did not mention earlier is he got the old Hollywood handshake in round number 1. But Star Baker was Kate the blacksmith, which I'm delighted about anyway. She did really, really well. Liam will have his time to shine later on, I'm sure, because he is coming out of the woodwork a little bit and he's doing really, really well. But Kate the blacksmith, well done, you got Star Baker. And who went this week was Tom. Now Tom is another one we haven't seen very much of, and it's a shame to see Tom going. Like they say every time, it only takes one bad week and it's game over. It's a shame that it was Tom's week this week, but you know what? My wife said to me when she caught a glimpse of it, she was like, hey, who's that guy with the dark hair and a little bit posh? And I said, that's Tom. Have you not seen him? And she said, no. And this is why I worry for James. I do worry for James, because James is like ticking along, and we see bits and bobs. Some stuff he does well, some stuff does not come out well, but we don't see very much of him. So I'm a little bit worried for James at this point. My investigator's hat is on, and I wonder if we're going to see him for long. Hey, that's it for me for Caramel Week. Sorry it's a quick one, but if you enjoyed it, hey, let me know who you think you're rooting for now. Now that Tom's out the window, we'll see what's going on. Hey, and next week is Pudding Week, which looks pretty exciting, and it looks like a lot of disasters. We all like a little bit of disaster, stuff melting, stuff falling over and things like that. I'm quite looking forward to that sort of thing. So hey, thank you very much for joining me today. It's Jack here at bakewithjack.co.uk. Anything bread related, come and say hi. And if you've enjoyed this video, let me know that you enjoy it. I'm just sitting on my kitchen table making videos for a laugh. That's just how I roll. So hey, I'll see you next week. Week number 5, Pudding Week. In fact, it's tonight. I'll see you tonight.